My sister Alice owns a flat with her husband and they have 2 dogs. Alice got a job abroad, so they're moving there. They don't know what to do with the 2 dogs yet. So their plan is to move abroad and wait a few months, up to 6, to decide if they even like it there or if they want to return home. If they like it there, they'll try to find a way to move the dogs there with them. But if it's not possible, they'll rehome them in our country. I'm 21, still attending university, and live with my mom. I want to move out and live alone, but I can't afford it. So Alice made me an offer. I can live in their flat for free for 6 months, with no rent or utilities. But I have to take care of their dogs. I'll have to walk them for hours daily, take them to the vet, etc. She said that they would pay for anything dog-related and would also cover the cost of doggy daycare during my exam periods or if I wanted to go on a vacation. I like her offer. Her flat is much closer to my university, but taking care of 2 dogs is a lot of work, so I think it's reasonable to want to be compensated for the work I do. If I didn't have to take care of the dogs, I could get a part-time job if I wanted, so I feel like I should be reimbursed for that. Alice and our mom said that being allowed to live in her flat for free is already enough, and I'm being unreasonable and money hungry. When they told me this, I laughed at them and told my sister she could try to find another dog sitter then, and I know I'm her best option. Now they're mad at me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You will live rent-free and utilities-free, alone in a flat closer to your university. Try Googling how much you'd have to pay in cash to do the same. And that's how much you're being paid for dog sitting. I imagine the sum won't be low with the current economic situation. A compromise could be that they charge you rent and then pay you to dog sit, and you may realize how unreasonable you're being. OP is giving off "I've never worked a job in my life" vibes, and maybe he shouldn't move out of his mom's house yet as he sounds kind of naive. Where I live, the average dog-sitting rate of pay would still cause this fool to be several $100s in debt per month for a nice, clean studio apartment in a safe neighborhood. And somehow I doubt he's living in such a cheap region of the world, nor does he have a cheap studio apartment. OP has no clue in the slightest what kind of bridge he just torched. Update. Okay, I messed up. I really thought Alice didn't have any other options. However, my brother just told me she's now talking to our cousin, who lives 2 hours away but wants to move to our city. They're even talking about possibly making it a long-term thing, and cousin being allowed to stay after the free 6 months is up for reduced rent, only having to pay an equal amount to their mortgage, which would normally only rent him a room. I thought they didn't have any other options. Imagine complaining about a job where you take care of dogs all day and everything else is taken care of. Wow, ungrateful dude. Glad to hear she actually found someone who isn't selfish and will truly appreciate the apartment. And I love your update. You got what you deserved, i.e. nothing. Yeah, the update really says it all. It would be one thing if OP was just young and naive, but they were clearly arrogant. They had the nerve to laugh in their sister's face. That's plain rude, even if the offer was bad. I'm glad that they had to learn this one the hard way. Maybe it'll humble them a bit in the future. My husband and I spent Christmas with his whole family at his parents' house. We had a great time, except for one thing, my oldest sister-in-law. She's the oldest in my husband's family, and apparently she's the most outspoken. She sat down next to me while I was taking a small break with my daughter in another room and started going on about how her name is not a real name, how Indy is all made up and will leave her without good options as an adult, how juvenile it sounds, and all other kinds of insults. Finally, I asked her if she could not bring it up because my husband and I were happy with her name and we trusted we chose a good name for her. She didn't let up, and I wasn't ready to move yet. So I told her to mind her own business and that my daughter's name has nothing to do with her. She started yelling loud enough for the rest of the family to overhear. My husband came in and asked what the heck was going on, and when he figured it out, he told her to leave me alone. The rest of the family said that there were better things to talk about over Christmas and told sister-in-law she should be doing something else. Sister-in-law stayed mad for the rest of the day And after we got home, she told me everyone hated the name we chose. Nobody else wanted to say anything, though. I responded that I already knew and I appreciated them not voicing it to us. My husband saw she was texting me and told her to grow up and focus on her own kids. She said to both of us that I was too rude to her and acted like she wasn't our daughter's aunt, which I never said. But I feel bad that the blow-up happened because of what I said. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's weird she's so obsessed with your daughter's name. I mean, people name their kids stuff that I don't like, but I don't tell them that. You just don't do that. So what was she hoping to accomplish? That she would change your kid's name? Yeah, no. You were very polite in the face of her inappropriate behavior. Inappropriate behavior. If Indy is the actual name, it's not common. But it's lovely, and hardly the kind of name that anyone, child or adult, would be judged for. Even if it was an objectively awful name, if such a thing exists, being upset about someone else's child's name is bizarre. Sister-in-law needs to mind her own business. How juvenile it sounds and all other kinds of insults that I'm just eye-rolling at this. Look, she was rude from the start, and then rude to keep pushing, and rude to act like everyone agrees, somehow meaning you should change your child's name. Standing up for yourself instead of walking away isn't rudeness. She's the one who started yelling. She's the one who wouldn't drop it. Yeah, sister-in-law is nothing but a bully. Most outspoken in this case is code for biggest idiot that for some reason everyone puts up with. Even if you believe a name is stupid, every parent has the right to name their children anything they want. And a lot of names were considered odd before they became mainstream. It isn't sister-in-law's business, and especially not after a child is born and already named. My brother and I were adopted into the same family. He's white, and I'm a dark-skinned black woman. Our parents were an interracial couple, and our family faced unique challenges over the years. But our parents did their very best for us, and tried their hardest to get as much information as possible about our birth families. It was a little easier with mine because I was orphaned and I had two older living birth relatives who were just incapable of caring for me and needed care themselves. Unfortunately, my brother had a very different story and he had no information at all. When he was 20, he met his wife and they married after 2 years of dating. She always gave me bad vibes. Around the time they got engaged, he told me she kept bringing up his birth family and how he should find them before the wedding. I had told him he didn't have to do anything, but he knew Mom and Dad would help him, and he had my support. She went behind his back to find them via DNA, and it was a disaster. But for some reason, he forgave her and decided to meet the people, which she was so thrilled about. It was around that time she told me to leave because he had sisters who were related to him. And not, you can guess the slur, sisters who were related to him and not, you can guess the slur, who always made his life more difficult. She told me I was crazy if I thought I'd be in her wedding photos. She also said our parents should get used to having only one child. My brother had already started to distance himself by then, and because I was hurt and angry, I never told him what happened between his now wife and me. I chose not to attend his wedding, and I know from our parents that the day was very chaotic. 6 years of no contact passed, and then he reached out and apologized for letting anything come between us. We've been back on speaking terms for over a year now. It took a while, but we're doing so much better. I always loved my brother, but I was hurt by the issues that arose between us and his wife. My brother's family ended up in a shelter a few days ago. He lost his job after many years and took a significant pay cut in his new one. At the same time, his former landlord decided to illegally evict them by changing the locks. My brother did contact a lawyer, but the legal process is not as quick as it is portrayed on TV and in movies, and they had nowhere to go. I live in the same city, which would allow him to keep his current job at least, so he asked if they could stay with me. I agreed to help him and the kids, but I made it clear that his wife is not welcome in my home. He said he would accept that, which surprised me. His wife is angry. She confronted me about separating her children from her, and how it would be detrimental for them to see her struggling while they were safe and comfortable with me. She called me names like petty, witchy, and an idiot. But it was her comment about the kids that made me question myself. Am I the idiot? No, I'm not. She cannot insult me and then expect me to take care of her. I would have told my brother, and I still suggest that you tell him now, because if she is teaching the kids to have the same attitude, nothing will be resolved. You have set a boundary, and you should stick to it. That woman is terrible, and I hope this is the first step towards your brother divorcing her and gaining full custody of the children. If you haven't already, it's time to explain to your brother what she said and why you refuse to let her into your life. It breaks my heart to see a mother separated from her children. I am currently going through a custody battle, and it pains me to think about being separated from my child for the first time and every time after that. But a good mother always puts her children first, and I would never let mine suffer if I couldn't provide for them. I do think you may be right that she is not doing her job as a mother. Plus, she is clearly a terrible person. It seems like she is getting what she deserves. You should be careful. You don't know how much your brother has changed. He might try to sneak his wife in, or she might constantly visit because she wants to be near her children and husband if they move in with you. There may be a lot of guilt tripping for the sake of the children. I agree, please be cautious. Landlords do not randomly change locks without a reason. If the landlord was so desperate to get rid of your brother's family that they were willing to risk a lawsuit, there is probably more to the story that you are not aware of. Take steps to protect yourself and your property. Find a safe place for valuable items like jewelry and discuss the situation with your insurance company. Your brother may have been a good person when he left your life, but he has changed. But he's been gone a long time, and he may have changed considerably. Also, be wary of the children. They will act in the manner they've been raised in, and they may not make pleasant or easy living companions. I, a 25-year-old male, have recently gotten married to Danny, a 22-year-old female. In my culture, it's customary to have an arranged marriage, and Danny was introduced to me through a family friend. Her family is very well off, and Danny told me that they agreed to cover the wedding expenses. Danny wanted a wedding in our home country, and they covered most of the costs. I was alarmed by the cost of a foreign wedding, but Danny brushed me off, saying that her parents would cover it. My brother-in-law, Danny's brother, told me he was surprised that I asked for my in-laws to cover the wedding afterward. I was confused by this, but he told me that Danny's parents had promised their children either a house or a paid wedding. I asked Danny about this and she got defensive. She said she had always dreamed of a big wedding since she was little and thought it was better than a house, which we could buy anyway. She was convinced that we could afford it, as I have a high-paying job as a doctor. However, I am also diabetic and healthcare is not free and I have student debt. Danny earns less than me, but she got her job right after graduation through family connections. I don't know how she thinks we can afford a house right now, and we will probably have to rent for the next 3 or 4 years. A house would have really helped us save, and I'm very annoyed that she made this decision without discussing it with me. But I don't know if this is something I should let go of. Technically, it was her parents' money, so she should decide where it goes. I am not an idiot for being upset with her, but no, I have to let it go, as I assume the wedding has already happened and all expenses have been paid. She knows my standpoint, and if I keep bringing it up, it will only damage our marriage in the long run. Maybe I should try to find out if there are other family agreements she hasn't shared with me yet. A house over a wedding? What kind of spoiled, crazy person would choose a wedding if given the option? Good luck, Opie. You've got a princess on your hands. I'm wondering if everyone was honest about their income and expectations here. Why does she think we can afford a house if I have already told her we can't? Who told her that? So her family is well off, and they are marrying their daughter to someone who cannot provide the same lifestyle. I don't know who arranged this, but there seems to have been some miscommunication. You are the idiot. The parents didn't give you a choice. It was her choice. She wanted the party her parents could provide. Why would it be up to me? It would be completely different if we were saving up and chose to spend the money on a house instead of a wedding. As a parent, if I provide this choice because I want to see my child happy and whatever makes them happier, then I'm okay with it. If they wanted to set their child up, they wouldn't have given them a choice and provided them with a house and made them pay for their own wedding. I, a 32-year-old male, work as an accounts manager for a large consulting firm. It's a pretty big company, think Big Four. Naturally, it's a highly competitive environment. You have to be careful because most people there will step on your hands to loosen your grip on the corporate ladder they're also trying to climb. Unlike my coworkers, I come from a humble background. When I was younger, my family could only afford to go on one holiday a year, usually in a rented caravan. In contrast, I work with a lot of trust fund babies who lack ethics and manners. This makes my work environment very stressful, as I constantly have to deal with their foolishness. To cope with this, I sometimes treat myself to an Irish coffee by the water cooler to calm my nerves, especially before important meetings. It helps make my work life a little more bearable and gives me the confidence to stand up to my coworkers. On Friday around 2 p.m., I was having my afternoon drink when one of my more scatterbrained colleagues, a woman in her 40s to 50s, came to my desk and started ranting about an overdue report. However, as soon as I responded to her, she made a face as if something had died and quickly scurried away. I brushed it off and went back to work. About 5 minutes later, she messaged me on Teams asking why my breath smelled like alcohol. In a moment of liquid courage, I made a sarcastic remark about only drinking because I had to work with her. This turned out to be a big mistake, as she took a screenshot of our conversation and is now threatening to report me to HR. I begged her not to, but she said she would think about it. At first, I thought she was the one in the wrong, but after reflecting over the weekend, I'm starting to wonder if I could have handled the situation better. Am I the one at fault for reacting poorly to my coworker? I come from a humble background and have only been on one holiday in a rented caravan per year. Clearly, you were not in a poor situation, OP, and being poor is not an excuse to secretly drink on the job. You are the one at fault in so many ways. It's ironic that you accuse your coworkers of lacking ethics and manners when you are the one drinking on the job and insulting people when confronted. It's comical that the stinky office drunk is complaining about the ethics and manners of their younger coworkers. For those who may not know, if you can't make it through a workday without sneaking in a few drinks, you don't deserve your position at the company. You are the one at fault, my friend. She simply called you out on your actions. Don't get upset about it. I mean, if work is getting him this stressed, I think he should probably seek out a therapist and potentially see a psychiatrist. But it sounds like he just likes taking shots and then chewing his coworkers out. The confidence to stand up to my coworkers line gives this away. She should send that combo to HR. They would be very interested to know what you're doing at work.